We are going to present to you the Airbnb company. First, Airbnb is a paid community platform for renting and booking accommodation between private individuals. It was founded in 2008 by two Americans, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia. For the record, it's two roommates who find themselves facing the will of a landlord who wants to increase the rent of their apartment. It is now 2007. The two roommates are looking for a solution to this problem. They are aware that a major conference on industrial design will soon be held in San Francisco and that many hotels are full. They then jump at the opportunity and decide to develop a basic website. It is made in 48 hours in order to offer conference participants the opportunity to sleep on air matters in the accommodation and enjoy a breakfast. The site is called Airbed and Breakfast. They managed to receive 3 people and raise $1,000 enough to meet their need for money. They realized that their concept has seduced them, so they decided to develop it. To improve the website, Brian uses his address book. His former roommate Joe, designer, agrees to join the project. The roles are then distributed as follows. Brian is in charge of strategy and finance, Nathan of technology, and Joe of design. The company was officially created in August 2008 in San Francisco under the name Airbed and Breakfast. After many actions to finance their projects is growing. The platform no longer offers air matters but living spaces for each user. In 2009, the company changed its name to Airbnb and entered the market between hotels and couchsurfing. Airbnb, since its creation, brings a new way of traveling and accommodation. The concept is simple. Individuals provide a home or a part of their home for rent. The company's primary objective is to make every user feel at home, hence its slogan, Welcome Home with Airbnb. Today, the company, which has 12,376 employees, has 1.5 million ads in more than 34 million cities and 192 countries. The international expansion of Airbnb is happening very quickly. Indeed, in 2011, 3 years after the creation of the company, they acquired a company from the German competition, Akoleo. From there, and the creation of their offices in Hamburg, many offices were created. From 2013, Airbnb's European headquarters will be located in Dublin, in Ireland. Thanks to the development of online payments and easy access to the internet, the company is expanding in 2012 to a new market, Australia and Asia. Australian users account for 1/10 of all of them. In addition, the company seeks to encourage Asian tourists to travel outside Asia. Finally, today, Airbnb is present worldwide with different platforms and in different languages.
Airbnb's internationalization happened rapidly as the company expanded to various countries at the same time. Consequently, we will discuss Airbnb's internationalization process applying the Uppsala model. On the one hand, it can be said that the Uppsala models are applicable to Airbnb's internationalization because the company initially expanded to countries with close psychic proximity and increasing intensity in terms of geographic expansion. Indeed, the initial expansion or epoch in 2011 targeted psychically proximate UK and Germany. Subsequently, Airbnb targeted psychically more distant markets such as France, Italy, Spain, Denmark, Brazil, and China. In the next internationalization epoch in 2012. This can be interpreted that early internationalization epochs in Germany and UK helped Airbnb to gain market knowledge, test the international scalability of the business model to overcome liability of foreignness and identify new business opportunities. Based on this logic, Airbnb has continued the internationalization even after 2012, having established regional headquarters, subsidiaries in 16 countries. Airbnb has succeeded in having several partners, such as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, based in Geneva, and Delta Airlines, based in Atlanta, and subsidiaries such as Lucky Home in France and iBuying in China. On the other hand, it can be argued that the upsell models are not applicable to Airbnb's internationalization due to the following reason. First, Airbnb has always used high commitment entry, fully owned subsidiaries, modes to enter specific markets, rather than increasing their commitment gradually, for example, through partnerships in the local markets. Secondly, after the initial expansion to the UK and Germany, Airbnb has targeted both geographically and psychically distant countries, simultaneously expanding to both China and Brazil in 2012, is a good case in point as Airbnb entered this market with fully owned subsidiaries without establishing smaller scale commitment or exporting. Third, Airbnb's internationalization was not dependent on networks that would have required commitment and relationship building from the two or more actors as suggested in the upsell model. Although Airbnb has recently entered partnerships with a number of companies by nature and are not directly related to internationalization as they represent countries where Airbnb already had presence prior to the partnership, while the upsell internationalization models aim to describe how internationalizations has happened. In addition, in the case for born global firms like Airbnb, internationalization is enabled by advances in technology and globalization as well as management international orientation. However, the importance of scarce resources which prompts born global to internationalize through exporting, which is not the case in the case of Airbnb, as the company is neither resource scarce or uses exporting as entry mode. In the case of Airbnb, international entrepreneurship is a combination of innovative, proactive, and risk-seeking behavior that crosses national borders and is intended to create value in organizations.
We are now going to talk about the pestle analysis. For the politics, the American startup has been sued several times for unfair competition by many haute professionals facing real economic difficulties. Some are facing bankruptcy due to the consequent decrease in the number of bookings. Alert by real estate professionals and growing speculation in Ireland's main urban areas, municipalities and local authorities intend to strengthen control over this practice in order to regulate these markets and limit the soaring price in stone. In March 2017, Airbnb finally managed to conclude an agreement and obtain the signature of the City of Dublin to maintain its activity in the capital. Although it is more difficult to measure accurately the impact of the development or real estate rental activities between individuals is very real. For the economics model put forward by Uber, Airbnb, and Amazon define what many economists call the quaternary economy. The latter would correspond to new services incorporating goods, the temporary provision of goods, person, or combination of goods and person through new technologies. These applications are a real trend at the moment and make it possible to respond clearly and intensely to users' needs at unbeatable prices. The site offers a simple and refined interface for connecting tenants and landlords and charge of commissions proportional to the number of days of accommodation. These solutions appeal to individuals, professionals, and businessmen who are used to stay frequently in major European cities. These short-term rentals have experienced a real boom in recent years and have generated considerable turnover for owners who have specialized in renting properties for business customers. Although the demand for this type of service has been constantly increasing for several years, the businesses is still subject to a set of external parameters that are more or less uncontrollable. The terrorist attacks in Europe have been a very negative impact on tourist activity, and Airbnb has seen the number of cancellations flowing in a result of these tragic events. For social and cultural, the business model and philosophy of the new famous American startup meet current needs and completely redesign the hotel landscape. Access to attractive and affordable offers in all major cities, interaction between stakeholders generates links, builds trust proximity with its host, a miracle recipe for Airbnb. This accommodation formula probably goes off the beaten track and gives a unique and exclusive dimension to each night. Attention is focused in particular on the quality of the customer services by offering an evaluation of the host and the rented property, an interface commonly used by professional restaurant, hotels, and travel. For technological aspect, most bookings are made directly from Airbnb website. Aware of growing numbers of users using application and connected objects, the American company decided to develop and implemented a dedicated application. Targeting mainly connected users frequently using recent communication tools, Airbnb has generated a real enthusiasm among a very wide range of customers. The simplicity of use, the choice of a refined and structured interface are intended to make the use of the services easier for the 350,000 hosting providers, but also for the travelers. For the ecological aspect, there are no factors that are a real influence on Airbnb's business model at the moment. Nevertheless, the issue of environmental standards and energy diagnostic for real estate can be raised. For legislative, Airbnb's activity in the most major European cities have had a very strong impact on professionals in sectors operating within very rigid and strict legislative framework. The Californian startup practices have alerted many associations and several administrative representatives to the need for a view of application of common legislation for hotel, professional, and accommodation rental sites. After several months of negotiations with the local administration, Airbnb has undertaken to pay a tourist tax for the accommodation of its users in the main cities of Ireland and the majority of European capitals. For the Porter analysis, rivalry. Some companies already limited Airbnb business model and started to develop some markets, like the case in China. Some existing companies are competing with Airbnb in some areas Booking, TripAdvisor, and Expedia. For the new entrants, it is very easy for any startup to enter the market and compete with Airbnb and take from its share, since the initial costs are not high. For the buyers, despite there is a high demand because of the variety of offerings in terms of price, location, and experience, buyers are very sensitive to security and safety issues, rumors, instability, situation in the country. For the substitutes, the guest can substitute it by a hotel experience or by choosing not to travel at all. For suppliers, there is abundance of suppliers, like the host, who are renting in their own homes.
For the green analysis, we found many skills. First, for the dynamic capacity, he has value, it is rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable. The resources are human resources, leadership, and human vision. The management skills don't have value, it is rare, not inimitable, but non-substitutable. The resources are high leadership, positive HR politic toward employees. The innovation capacity has value, it is rare, inimitable, and non-substitutable. The resources are investments and human resources. The stability to generate customer experience have value, is rare, it is not limitable, but it is sustainable. The resources are marketing division, specialized photographers, corporate structure, large after-sales service team, data processing, and analysis department. Marketing skills have value, is rare, it is not inimitable, but it is non-substitutable. The resources are marketing division, communication division, corporate structure, data processing, and analysis department. About the specific to the business lines. For the data skills, it have value, it is rare, inimitable, but not non-substitutable. The resources are proprietary algorithm underpants, data mining, and information technology. The management of the community platform have value. It is not rare, not inimitable, and not non-substitutable. The resources are information technology. The user experience and user interface have value. It is rare, but it is not inimitable and non-substitutable. The resources are developers and designers, data mining, behavioral predictive analysis. And to the end, the legal and lobbying have not value. It is rare, is not inimitable, but is non-substitutable. And the resources is legal department.
Cultural distance. Airbnb has established firstly in Germany and UK, then Paris, Barcelona. Airbnb is a concept based on the conviction of each hosts about renting their houses to tourist people. That's why it's rarely when there is an issue about culture. French people didn't have the concept of sharing a part of their house in because they were afraid. Some language in some regions facilitate the culture integration, like for example France and Belgium. Geographical distance. Airbnb is expanded now in 190 countries in the 5 continents, using a blockchain technology that make every destination accessible for traveling. Booking is making online on websites which facilitates communication. Economic distance. Resources are shared between corporations and individuals. 3.9 million tourists stayed in France using Airbnb, creating €218 million of revenue for the hosts. Airbnb gives jobs to the hosts and serve over 9 million people all over the world. France Airbnb's biggest market after the US.
Airbnb uses a global strategy. Airbnb offers are the same offer on the world. In effect, we can see on the website in the country where is the company, for example, the Irish website, the Indian website, and the US website, are the same, just the language change. Airbnb main stakeholder, the customer. Airbnb is a platform who makes the relation between the person who wants to travel and the person who wants to rent their home. The both are clients of Airbnb. The impact with international strategy is that the clients can be traveled around the world and rent to people from around the world. For the people who want to rent their apartments, allow them to have an income, and for those who want to travel cheaper and to be in accommodation typical of the area where it is located. The investor. The impact of the strategy on the investor is that from the moment they don't make a benefit because it's a young company and she is developing in the world and it costs money. Investors believe in the future profitability of the company in view of its development in the world. Partners. Airbnb has many partners such as the Olympic Games, Century 21, the American Red Cross. The impact of the strategy on the partner is that Airbnb choose partners who have a significant influence in the world and in countries. The state. These stakeholders are only the state who represent Airbnb. The impact of the strategy is economical with taxes because Airbnb pay taxes to each country with benefit and economic issue with the traveler. 3. Bottom line analysis. Social aspect. Airbnb has specifications for landlords who must respect them. This specification takes into account the price respected. What the apartment must contain in terms of security and other specifications. Airbnb connect the people who want to share no profit social experience. Social experience are for good causes in order to share them with a large number of people. Moreover, Airbnb have a partnership with American Red Cross. Economic aspect. Airbnb developed a local economy in the areas where they are located. Its prices are more attractive than hotel, so the tourists spend more. For example, according to Airbnb, the Airbnb community contributed $50 million to the Montreal economy. Airbnb to the renter to have an income. According to Airbnb, it's 2,300 for an apartment in Paris for the month. In addition, Airbnb pay taxes in all countries where the company operates, even if are minimal. For example, in 2019, Airbnb paid 150,000 euros of taxes. Airbnb have an operating loss, according to the CEO, due to the development and the creation of its luxury segment. Environment aspect. Airbnb was accused of greenwashing. To counter this accusation, Airbnb tries to ask users to have different things in the location to reduce the ecological impact. A recycling bin or composter, ecological light bulbs, provide shopping bags for shopping. In addition, it develops and promotes its core experience related to environment. Airbnb could be a sustainable company only if it's improved from an economic and environmental point of view. Airbnb international strategies is a global strategy, and this strategy works well for it as it is becoming integrated throughout the world. But they could use a local strategy to develop more within countries and to develop its offer according to the custom. The habits of certain countries that are very specific and that change the habit of Westerns. For example, it could be develop a group trips for Chinese people traveling mainly in groups during their trips abroad. Thanks for your attention.